Welcome, everyone. This is Mayor Tim Merbot. Welcome to our regular town council meeting of Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Mr. Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Councilmember Duncan.
Here.
Councilmember Correa.
Here.
Councilmember Lord.
Here.
Vice Mayor Callahan.
Here.
Mayor Merbot.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, if you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. If you could please read the public comments instructions, and I will open this up for public comments.
Please be advised that when joining the meeting, you are automatically muted. Welcome to tonight's meeting. The public was able to make public comments prior to the meeting, either by leaving a voicemail message or sending an email to the town clerk. There were no public comments received by the clerk's office, either by voicemail or by email. If you wish to speak tonight, please press *9 and the host will be alerted. Pressing *9 is known as raising your hand. Once you press *9, you will be placed in a queue to speak and will be called upon by your name or the last 3 digits of your telephone number. Please wait to be called upon. Please state your name and address. If you are a hired consultant or town employee, and or if you are engaged in lobbying activities and or representing an organization, please provide that information before speaking. Please be sure to be in a quiet area to avoid unnecessary noise. A time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each speaker during public comments. Your cooperation is appreciated.
Thank you very much. Okay, Council, we've all submitted our town council announcement, board and committee reports. We've had an opportunity to read those. Does anybody have any questions, concerns they'd like to raise at this time? Roger, you are recognized.
Thank you. 2 things. First, I want to let you all know that this past Monday was the inaugural meeting of the Environmental Task Force. We had all 5 members of this group, as well as our town manager and our interim clerk, and some Zoom bombers actually that joined us. So, that we'll learn as we go. But it was mostly getting to know each other, talking about their backgrounds, their experience leading into this committee, and then kind of giving them a bureaucracy 101 in terms of sunshine and communications and procedures and that kind of stuff. But they seem to have a lot of ideas. Some of them are things that the town's already working on, which is great. So we're going to be, myself and the manager will be putting things together to share with them to show them what we've already done, and so they can advise on that and then see what new things they can bring to the table. So I'll be letting you know over time as they meet. The second thing, real brief, and I feel this is the best time to do it. I want to point something out to the council. Back in 2019, we passed an ordinance revising our future land use map, the FLUME. And this was done specifically to designate some areas that were conservation/residential as conservation alone. And that included the wetland area that's managed by the South Florida Water Management District, as well as a area south of Matter, Cutler Bay, and just west of it. Another area that was zoned conservation residential was the 8.5 acres along Old Cutler from 184th to Cutler K, which at the time was still privately owned. And what I'm bringing up is that now that it is no longer privately owned and it is town property, we should once again update our FLUME, and that involves an ordinance and advertising and all of that. So I think we can put together the language of an ordinance pretty quickly. I just wanted to, through the mayor, ask for consent of the council to go ahead with that, because it does involve advertising, all the necessary hurdles. But it's just cleaning up that map to really what's meant for conservation will be conservation alone.
I like that, Roger, very much. So glad that you're being proactive on that. Council, is there any objections to that? No. So, Ralph, let's go ahead and move forward with that if we could.
you'll be seeing that probably next month's agenda. I would think that at least the first reading of it. So,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
All right, anybody else? No? Okay. All right, with that, I did have the announcements for the public comments, but I did not, and I did mention we're going to open public comments, but I never actually paused for that moment. So, the facilitator, is there any public waiting? Is this room mic on?
No.
Danielle? There you go. Your speaker's on there, Susie. You can turn it off.
Okay, Mayor Mirabad, at this time, we don't have anyone in the queue. We did have someone raise their hand and they placed it down. So I don't know if you would like for me to announce that individual.
If they don't have their hand raised at this time, that's not necessary.
Okay, they do have their hand raised at this moment. Okay,
We'll recognize them, yes.
perfect. I will be allowing Adams to speak. You will have 3 minutes, 1 moment.
Good evening, everyone. Adam Skoronsky here, Cutler Bay. It's been a long time. I have one quick question for everyone, and that is, does the town have an ordinance on homeowners having chickens and roosters in their premises, especially having them run loose? Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Mitch, you probably are the one to answer, but I think my general knowledge of chickens and roosters are not allowed. That was the Dade County ordinance, which is passed down. We have not altered or changed that. So no wild stock, farm animals like that are not supposed to be in the town of Cutler Bay.
I concur with Justice Mirabad.
Thank you very much. So Adam, if you just go ahead and you can report that to our code department, and so they can investigate that. So, all right. Anybody else in the queue?
At this time, no, Mayor Mirabad.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mitch, thanks for my promotion. I appreciate that. So, all right, public comments is now closed. We'll go to our town manager's report. Ralph, you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, members of council, members of the audience. Just a couple of brief updates before we get into a couple of presentations that we have here tonight. An update on the update on the town clerk's recruitment efforts that we have. The closing date for the position is Monday, May the 3rd, and we have received a total of 19 applications, 9 of which meet the minimum qualification. So again, we're still on scheduled, as we mentioned before, during the council workshop, and we look forward to providing that information and the binders, as we mentioned, on May the 7th, and distribute it to the council, and possibly have a council workshop prior to our May 26th meeting. So that's the update for the town clerk. Briefly, on April the 28th, I'm going to be hosting our first ever virtual open mic night. As you recall, we've had these sessions before. In the world that we live in now, I'll be providing that in a virtual environment. Hopefully, we'll have a lot more participants since it's easy for everybody to attend. The date is April the 28th, which is Wednesday at 6 p.m. And information regarding login information is available on our town website. Briefly, as you know, the state legislature session is coming to a brief end. Our $250,000 Saga Bay Drainage Improvement Project appropriation is still alive. It's gone through House Bill 3973, which was sponsored by Demi Basalta Cabrera, our representative, and as well as through Senate Bill 1930, which was sponsored by Senator Ileana Garcia. So just speaking to our lobbyists this morning, it's still alive. It's right now going to be included in the budget. And we'll see if it survives. As we all know, the governor's office. So I'm very proud to announce that. Capital improvement projects are going on right now. We have the Cutler Ridge Drainage Section 3 Resurfacing Roadway project. This is the area that is bordered by North Montego Bay Drive, West Anchor Drive, and East Side Gulfstream, and the South 212. So it's a big area there. One of our older sections of the town. That's a $1.8 million drainage and roadway resurfacing project that commenced 2 weeks ago. So as you drive by there, you'll see some residential detours there. That project is being monitored by our Public Works Department and our consultant engineers. Second major project, and again, another drainage project, which is being funded and managed and constructed by Miami-Dade County is on Southwest 216th Street. We have two phases there. We call this the east side, which is Southwest 216th Street between 97th Avenue, the traffic circle, and 87th Avenue. That project is a drainage improvement and roadway resurfacing project as well. It's a $1.1 million project, and that's already underway. And then the west side, which is from 97th Avenue to Old Cutler Road, as I reported previously, that project, it has received funding allocation by Miami-Dade County, and it's currently under the design phase. And that project is going to probably be approximately $500,000 to $550,000 worth of drainage improvement project as well. So those are going to be two major roadway projects there that we are performing. Brief update report follow-up from the Vice Mayor Callahan regarding the building official. We have done some research with our community development director, and for now, what we have is the going market rate, believe it or not, for a building official is anywhere from $110 to $135 per hour. We know that we don't need a full-time building official. Just talking to our town staff and looking at the flow that we have, we're looking at possibly max of 20 hours per week. So that, with the benefits package that we have for part-timers, obviously, which is tax, our FRS, and workers' comp, we're looking at a range of anywhere from $139,000 to $170,000. We will continue our conversations with our current contractor, Cap Engineering, but I did want to report that to the council. That position is very tough to find. I mean, just speaking to other fellow managers, I mean, there's only so many limited folks that meet those qualifications through Miami-Dade County Board of Rules and Appeals, BORA, that have that type of expertise. And a lot of those individuals are looking for full-time employment. So I think we're confident enough that with that pay range, hopefully we'll get somebody that lives on the south end of the county. But again, that's just us getting to the recruitment process. But more importantly, we'll start having conversations with our current provider, which is Cap Engineering. Again, they've been performing, but again, this is just a matter of, as we mentioned before, I concur with Vice Mayor. I think it's just time for us to have our own, building official, and it'll be, equivalent to, a department head at that point. Regarding the EEL application, I know I provide updates to the mayor so often. I mean, at my monthly call to our friends at Miami-Dade County EEL, it is still not on the Board of County Commissioners agenda. There's some issues with some other applications, not the one that's called Cutler Bay Wetlands, but we're all bundled in as one application. So that continues to go back and forth with Miami-Dade County EEL and Miami-Dade County Attorney's Office. So I will continue to provide that update. Myself and our town attorney, Chad Friedman, are in constant communication with both EEL and the County Attorney's Office. So hopefully we'll have some positive news for next month. Lastly, regarding the designation of the Brownfield, as you recall, we designated that area there, as we call the 32 acres, the potato field, as Brownfield. We have been going back and forth with our friends from Miami-Dade County Durham, RER, as well as our consultant engineers, making sure that we have the correct scope of work for the type of environmental assessment that needs to be done, performed there as per FDEP regulation, as well as Miami-Dade County Durham RER regulations. So we're continuing our negotiations. I'm very hopeful that we'll have something before the town council within the next month. And again, this is now the heavy lift side of it. The other part was just kind of like labeling the entire brownfield. Now we got to start going into the application, looking at those tax incentives, and more importantly, the environmental assessment reports that need to be done as per state code. So Mayor, that completes my manager's report. And if there's any question regarding that part of it, I'm here. If not, I would like to then move on to item B of my manager's report.
Yes, please move forward. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Today, we have the honor of having Fire Chief Alan Kaminsky here to provide an update on the 2020, their annual update. And there he is. He's constantly working. Look at him. He's, he's probably on his way to a call right now. So Chief Kaminsky, oh, there, now the virtual, right? Thank you for thank you for coming here tonight. I know that he's also accompanied by Maria Reyes from a division manager that'll be providing managing the PowerPoint. So with that, Chief Kaminsky. Is the chief unmuted? Let me see. Okay, Chief, you're still muted.
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Okay, you're good.
Excellent. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Mirbot, Vice Mayor Callahan, Councilmember Duncan, Lord, and Cariat, and Town Manager Casales. My name is Alan Kaminsky, a fire chief for Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to present to you today. An overview of our department. We originated in 1935. We're the largest fire rescue department in the Southeast United States, among top 10 largest in the nation. We have 2,700 employees. 2,105 are sworn firefighters, and 595 are non-sworn staff. We have 154 frontline units, 59 ALS transport units, and 60 suppression units. We have 71 fire rescue stations, 2 full-time air rescue helicopters, 2 full-time fireboats. We're accredited by the Center for Public Safety Commission on Fire Accreditation International, and our ISO Insurance Service Office rating is a 2/2X. Some of the department service highlights. Our EMS, Emergency Medical Services, 90% of MDFR units staffed to provide advanced life support ALS services. Miami-Dade County residents have the highest survival rates in the nation from blocked coronary artery disease. We are part of establishing the STEMI, which is the ST Elevation Myocardial Infarction Network, a little over 10 years ago. And we're also part of the Countywide Stroke Network. Under the Fire Rescue Department, we also have the Office of Emergency Management, OEM. They manage County Emergency Operations Center, or EOC, coordinates emergency response and recovery plans, and as well as they're accredited by the Emergency Management Accreditation Program, EMAP. Last year, some highlights in 2020. We hired 106 new firefighters, put on 4 recruit classes last year. Some of our highlights, we placed 6 new units or service in station last year. Engine 68, which is out of Doral North. Rescue 71, which currently be at Station 34 in Cutler Ridge. New foam truck, ARF Foam 1 at MIA. Another new foam truck was replaced, ARF Foam 3 at Miami International Airport, as well as both our fireboats were replaced, Fireboat 21 at Holiver Marina and Fireboat 73 at Port Miami. So we have 2 new 55-foot vessels. Another highlight in 2020, we opened one of our new fire rescue stations. It's a temporary station, Westward Lake, which is located at 4911 Southwest 117th Avenue, and that's our fire station 41. We had the privilege of serving the town of Cutler Bay since 2005. In 2020, MDFR responded to 4,641 emergency calls from the town. 90% of the primary responses into the town were provided by Station 55, which responded to 1,834 incidents, Station 34, which responded to 1,170, and Station 50, that responded to 1,164. Other surrounding stations responded to 473 incidents to make up that total of 4,641. I don't know if you guys are seeing the next slide or not, but on mine, I'm not seeing that. But on the next slide, just showing you an overview of the 3 stations. Station 55, which responded to 40% of the calls. Station 34, which responded to 25% of the incidents last year. And Station 50, which responded to 25% of the incidents last year. We have 8 fire rescue stations within the 3 miles of the town, which comprises of a total of 16 frontline units serving the town of Cutler Bay. 2 battalion chiefs, 7 rescues, and 7 suppressions. Daily, there are 51 firefighter, paramedic, or emergency medical technicians on duty each shift. Next slide just gives an overview of the town of Cutler Bay and the stations we have within. Station 55, Station 34, and then Station 50, as well as Station 74, which is a proposed new station we're looking for in this year's budget. In 2020, incidents and response times, we have so far 4,641 incidents total. Life-threatening, 2,351 with an average response time of 6:58. Non-life-threatening, 1,097 with an MDFR response time of 7 minutes, 21 seconds. Structure fires, 45 with an average response time of 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And other fires were 443 with an average response time of 6 minutes and 49 seconds. Our countywide average for life-threatening emergencies is 7 minutes and 59 seconds. Within the town, the average is 6 minutes and 58 seconds. For structure fires, countywide average was 6 minutes and 22 seconds, and the town average is 5 minutes and 20 seconds. For 2021, we've had so far 1,311 total incidents up until March 31st, 2021. Life-threatening 565, non-life-threatening 388, structure fires 5, other fires 119, and other emergencies 234. Life-threatening emergencies countywide average is 7 minutes and 51 seconds. Town average is 7 minutes and 5. Structure fire incidents countywide average was 6 minutes and 36 seconds. The town average was 6 minutes and 22 seconds. For 2020, we have our MDFR customer feedback survey. We sent to 20% of MDFR EMS patients monthly. Countywide, 3,136 respondents, 10% return surveys yielding an overall score of 4.86. We received 106 town residents return surveys yielding an overall score of 4.81 with a 96% satisfaction rate. And one of the comments, which to me, this is the most meaningful when we see our comments coming from the residents, those who came to my rescue were very professional and caring. I felt very reassured after they checked me out. They also advised me as to what to do if the same situation occurs again. I thank them for their service. I'm very fortunate to live in Dade County, and that definitely means a lot. So thank you. That's an overview of our presentation. If you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Chief. I do have one question. I had the pleasure of touring the stations in Cutler Bay, and our council passed a resolution 1971, hoping to get another rescue unit at Station 55. Can you give us an update on if that's on the horizon? Hopefully.
Yes. Well, what we're looking for this year, two things. We have 21 stations overall that we call a single company. So either suppression or rescue. So we have 12 that have a suppression like engine 55. So we do a matrix, and we kind of review them on an annual basis to kind of prioritize. On the last report that we ran, Station 55 was number 4 in regards to when we should put the additional rescue unit in. Now for this year's budget, we did submit. So it's, we're going through our county proposal budget now of stations and enhancements. So one area that we see a need that we'd like to have a station put in place is Station 74. So if we get that approved in this year's budget, that would be an ALS rescue unit. And it'd be several years before we build that station. So the plan would be to put that rescue out of Station 55.
Awesome. That would be great. I can see the need there, that's for sure. So we really do appreciate all the help the fire department, the rescue department provides to our citizens, and also appreciate the information provided when we're going through the discussion with the county over 87th Avenue Bridge. Some information there was very helpful. So I want to thank you and your department for stepping forward and helping out with that. So, Council, do you have any questions? No? All right, we're good then. Thank you again very much for your help. Ralph, is there anything else further?
Again, thank you. And Fire Chief, thank you for attending tonight's meeting. We have a great relationship. I mean, the first responders, you guys work hand in hand with our police major and our police department. So, thank you. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Appreciate it very much.
Very much. It's a privilege.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, the next report I have is something that's going to be very new to a lot of us, but I think Mayor Mearbot remembers from our initial council when at one point we used to have a federal lobbying contract. And since I've been mayor since 2012, we haven't had a need to engage, but I felt that it's particularly with this federal administration, when we start talking about not billions, but trillions dollars of infrastructure grants and appropriations, I felt the need for us to go ahead and secure, again, on a temporary basis, a very well-seasoned, experienced federal lobbyist Thorn Run Partners, but in particular, one of the principals, Jim Davenport, who is very familiar with the South Florida community, and in previous life worked for a firm that we had, back in 2007 through 10. So with that, I'd like to at least formally introduce Jim Davenport, one of the partners from Thorn Run Partners, which he will provide also a brief PowerPoint. So Jim, you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me all fine?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ralph, for the introduction. And it's nice to be with the town council tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit. I'm Jim Davenport. I'm with Thorn Run Partners. I just want to walk you through a few things, but mainly talk about some of the current opportunities that exist for a town like Cutler Bay. Our firm was founded in 2010 as a boutique shop, but we've since grown to a 35-person firm and are listed as one of the top 20 lobbying firms in Washington. Most of the people at the firm, like myself, have been lobbying though a lot longer than 11 years now. Many of us are into our 20th year. My colleagues and I share deep relationships on Capitol Hill and with the congressional delegation. We consider ourselves both subject matter experts in various areas, but also offer political support and work very deeply with both the administration, the federal agencies, and your members of Congress. I'm your team lead. You're the guy that I'm going to work with, so you'll get to know me. My colleague Greg Burns and I joined the firm at the same time about 3 years ago. Greg and I specialize in representing local governments, and we are supported by Ganeev Sharma, as well as all the other people at my office that some you'll get to know and some you may not. But we have a lot of support both with partners and the policy team. We have a fairly substantial local government practice, and that's how I came to you all. We represent about 30 local governments from various states, but most of our clients, and you'll see on the next slide, are from Florida. We represent both large and small communities. We handle all kinds of issues. If you refer to my proposal, you'll see numerous subject matter areas that we have experience in, and particularly in Florida and in South Florida. With deep expertise in several issues that you care about, such as transportation infrastructure, resiliency, climate change, environmental issues, and so forth. This is the list of our current clients in Florida. You'll see we represent, I think, 7 or 8 counties, several in South Florida. We represent 2 large navigation districts. We represent some small villages and towns as well as an airport authority. So we don't just lobby for small cities or large cities. We do a little bit of everything. So what I really wanted to focus on are the opportunities that currently exist for Cutler Bay and local governments out there that's in front of us. And these are opportunities, many of these that have not existed for quite some time. As Ralph mentioned, you haven't had a lobbyist for a number of years, and there's some new areas that have come back known as earmarking, but they're now calling it community project funding. So let me touch upon some of these and talk a little bit about what we're doing right now. So Congress decided this year with both the new administration in place, and they've been wanting to go back to this process for quite some time, frankly. To restart what used to be known as the earmark process, but they're now calling it community project funding. Local governments and nonprofits are the only ones eligible. They can work with their members of Congress to submit projects or just one project to get that project funded in an appropriations bill. And right now we're talking about fiscal year 2022. So you have the opportunity to submit a project. We've submitted Marlin Road already, and I'll get into that a little bit. But there's all various categories of funding that are going to be available both this year and next year, and as long as this process remains in place. It was a very popular process for many years, and I did quite a bit of this leading up to 2011 when it ended. So it's back at this point, and we're looking forward to working in that direction. In addition, this year happens to bring forth the reauthorization of what's known as the Surface Transportation Bill. The Surface Transportation Bill is a 6-year bill. That means Congress does it about every 6 years. It's basically the bill that is funded by the federal gas tax, although the last several bills have been funded not only by the gas tax, but just direct spending from Treasury, from federal tax revenues. They are also allowing, they being the House Transportation Committee, are allowing local governments to submit projects. So we have submitted Marlin Road to Congresswoman Salazar for her consideration. This process only comes around once every 6 years. So we're hoping to, your project looks pretty good. Ralph and I are working on getting some additional support from the Miami-Dade County TPO, which it sounds like we're going to get. And we've got all our ducks in a row, but it's a competitive process. But it's like, opportunities like this only come around so often. But opportunities like the next time I'm going to mention, the infrastructure package, I've never seen anything like this in my years. And when I was here in 2009, when President Obama had his stimulus package, but this thing is like, 4 times the size of that. President Biden and the current Congress are proposing a very large infrastructure package. Now, this will not allow us opportunities to seek specific funding for the town. We will not be able to get earmarks in the infrastructure package. But what we can do is make sure all of these major federal programs are well funded, and hopefully that position you all to be the beneficiary of some of these funds. So they're talking about additional transportation dollars. They're talking about water and wastewater, including some new grants that don't exist outside of the state revolving fund, broadband funding, funding for school construction, which it's rare that's been available. Healthcare, I didn't even include energy efficiency improvements, an entire host of things. This will be the major bill that Congress undertakes this year. They'll start working on it soon. I mean, President Biden has already put forth a sketch, I'll call it, of a proposal, but it's up to Congress to write it, and that's where we come in. We'll be working with the committees to write on behalf of our clients to help write this bill. The next item, federal grants have never gone away, even though earmarks have gone away. Every year there's federal grants available. We apprise our clients of the opportunities out there on a regular basis. You will all get our weekly or bi-weekly grant alert, but the grant alert in and of itself, it isn't entirely helpful unless you do some other steps involved. And those things include, when you want to submit a grant in the future, we will set up a meeting with whichever federal agency has oversight and start the dialogue ahead of time. We want them to get to know you, and we want them to get to know your projects. And it gives you an opportunity to ask some of those questions that you would not typically get to ask when the solicitation's on the street, because when a federal grant comes out, you get about 30 days to respond, and there's just not enough time. So we like to position you ahead of time. And then once, if you work to develop an application, we will do review and editing of that application, help you get any clarifying information, and help you get support from your members of Congress as well. And there's cases where clients do not get the grant. So on the backside, we always work with the agency to get a debrief. We have done debriefs with clients on, where did they miss that question? And that's often led to a successful grant the following year. So it's a very important step. So those are like 4, I'll call them funding areas that are in existence right now. On top of that, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know some issues that are important to you all, resiliency. My colleague, Greg Burns, and I do a whole host of projects in South Florida, quite frankly, all over Florida, that have to do with Corps of Engineers projects. We're talking about shore protection, flood control, environmental infrastructure, which is water and sewer improvements down in the Florida Keys, ecosystem restoration. There are all kinds of projects out there. There's one I'm going to maybe touch on just for a moment because it does impact you, but it's something that most people aren't too aware of, I think, at this point. But my colleague Greg and I are already involved in it's referred to as the Central and Southern Florida Flood Control Study. It's to restudy all of the spillways and the pump systems that are in South Florida, particularly Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade. And right now the study is not underway, but the Corps of Engineers has imagined that they have to redo all of those structures in South Florida because those structures were built decades ago with the thought that not as many people were going to be in South Florida as are today. I have a lengthy slideshow on it that I'd be happy to provide to all of you, but we're trying to get funding in this appropriations bill to get this study underway. And I don't want to belabor discussing it now, but I'd be happy to fill you in a little bit about it. But it's basically flood protection for South Florida. If you want, I can stop and take questions. There's some other projects besides Marlin, and Marlin Road is the one that right now we're focused on, but we talked about some potential future projects. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I'm happy to stop and take questions and go from there.
Very much, Council. I'll open up any questions at this time from the council. No, we don't have any this time. A lot of information. I'm glad we're going forward with the Marlin project. Going forward, there's a lot of issues in South Florida. We have our neighbors in North Pinecrest looking for sewage treatment issues due to a septic tank, which is polluting the bay. Our council as a whole seems to be very sensitive and supporting environmental projects. So we're glad you're on top of that as well. And of course, going forward, we will be looking for any and all ways where we get federal help. I consider resiliency in building a town hall, which needs to be resilient and environmentally friendly. So just things to put on the long-term radar. So other than that, I really do appreciate you being forward and look forward to you working with us. Ralph, do you have any other additional comments?
Yeah, and Mayor, I wanted to reiterate, Marlin Road, that is a $8.8 million ask that we have. As you recall, Marlin Road was part of our Complete Streets master plan. And as you all know, we always have town-owned roads, county roads, state roads, but there's another layer, FHWA layer roadway, which Marlin Road, 186, 87th, Caribbean, those roads also are FHWA highway roads. So as Jim mentioned, we feel that we check all the boxes there for Marlin Road, what we refer to as a Complete Streets project. It's a $8.8 million, ask from them. And then also Jim is working behind the scenes as well with our resiliency regarding what we could do with the 8.45 acres, obviously our municipal town hall complex, and as well as opportunity zones as well. So he has a whole list of items that we just wanted a brief introduction to him. You'll start seeing more of him and more of his reports as well. So thank you, Mayor, members of council. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, that concludes my town manager's report for tonight.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to the town attorney's report. So town attorney, you have a report tonight.
Yes, I have two things. The first is that, as you may recall, we were representing a number of cities in an attempt to invalidate a state legislative preemption of local gun ordinances. And some of you were individual plaintiffs, and the town Cutler Bay was a plaintiff. The first DCA found that upheld the state preemption, including most of the individual penalties. As you'll recall, one of the aspects is that it subjected members of elected bodies to removal from office for any violation, and that was, and as well as personal fines that could not be recovered through the normal processes. So we challenged those, and the judge sided with us on the issue of removal from office, saying that the removal from office is not available to the governor as a penalty. However, upheld all of the others. Several of the cities that we were representing in that have decided to appeal to the Florida Supreme Court. And so we're moving forward. You'll be receiving a letter. Those of you who are individual plaintiffs, as well as the mayor, will be receiving a letter from our firm explaining where that stands. The cities that have joined in the Supreme Court appeal are, we had refunded in the court. If you recall, we had initially asked each city to chip in $10,000, but as the class grew, we refunded $900 because we got more cities on board. So all we're asking for the Supreme Court brief is $900 from each city that participates. So I don't know if you want to have a discussion about whether or not to participate at some point, but we would love to have, any of the cities that were original plaintiffs in this case to participate in the Supreme Court appeal. It's not really about the question of whether, there should or should not be gun control. It's whether or not local elected officials are able to act without fear of extreme individualized reprisals from the office of the governor. The second thing that I wanted to bring up, which I spoke with each of you individually about, is a slight change to our retainer agreement, which would allow us, in cases of cost recovery or other cases where a third party and not the town is paying the bill, to charge a different rate, a higher rate that's not the discounted rate that we charge to the town. And you had each verbally said that that was fine. So what I'd ask for is a motion to permit the mayor to execute an amendment to our retainer agreement to allow the charge of higher hourly rate when third parties are paying or reimbursing the attorney's fees.
All right, we all did discuss that with you, so we'd look for a motion to amend that agreement. We have a motion from Roger and a second by BG Duncan. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right, so Mayor, I'll follow up with you on that and with a written amendment to the retainer agreement. I appreciate that. That's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to, yes, Roger, you recognize, sir.
Question for Mitch. Regarding the appeals process, the first item you talked about, is that something that requires a resolution by the council, or can we do that as a consent?
You can do that by motion or by a sense of the council direction to us, but I prefer a motion, and I may come back with a formal resolution in case my partner believes that's helpful.
Mitch, would it be prudent to go ahead and wait for us to get this letter and just see what the details on it?
Sure.
Thank you for
That's
that.
fine.
Okay. All right. Anything else for our attorney? All right, that takes us to the town clerk's report. Mauricio, sir.
Yeah, just a quick update. You know that we've got a couple of vacancies on our committees. We've had the parks vacancy for a while where we had nobody applying. We finally got an application today. Thankfully, thank the town manager's office and our PIO Desiree for getting all of that information out on social media. That's actually starting to gain traction. So we did get one application so far for parks. I did forward it to Councilmember Lord via email. And we also have a vacancy on the Economic Growth Committee, which is Mayor Mirabot's appointment. And we also got an application for that, which I forwarded off to Mayor Mirabot. So hopefully we'll get a few more, but that's really all I have. I just wanted to remind everyone we do have those two vacancies open on those two committees.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that takes us to the consent agenda. And I know often on the consent agenda, we'll each have something that we believe that we have a little favor from that we'd like to discuss a little bit further. And I do like to run efficient meetings, and I have just an ask. This is not direction at all. You still have the opportunity to pull anything you want, but rather than pulling an item that you're in favor of for us to vote on separately, I would prefer that it stay on the consent agenda. Unless you're opposed to it, let us vote on the consent agenda, and if you need a point of privilege to discuss any item on there, I will give you time to discuss it there. I think it suits the same purpose of allowing us to highlight some of those things, but also saves our time, the staff's time, the public's time, rather than having to pull item, read the item, discuss it, and go through the agenda. So just an ask by me, if possible. So with that, we have the consent agenda in front of us. Are there any polls from the consent agenda today? As there is not, I'm looking for a motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda and will refrain from pulling item F for the purpose of commending you for bringing it forward, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We have a motion from Councilman Coriot and a second from Councilman Duncan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda passes. And again, I think some of these items speak for themselves. We don't have to add any additional to them. So with that, that brings us again to public comments. The directions for public comments has already been read. So I'm going to open up the floor for public comments. Is there anybody in the queue wishing to speak for public comments at this time?
Mayor Mebot, there is no one in the queue to speak at this time.
Okay. Often, and I'd like the council's opinion on this. We have two areas for public comments. Not sure whether that's necessary or not. Or not. I'll use all the letters in that word. I'm interested if the council thinks that maybe we should put the public comments in one section of the agenda rather than two. Just something for you to think about, and we'll discuss it next meeting, just for purposes of making the agenda as clean as possible, again, for the public and staff. So with that, that brings us to item 11 in the C. We have no quasi, right? Double checking. Nope. Okay. And that brings us item 8A. No public hearing is required. So can you read item 8A, please? Hold on a second.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah, we
you,
need to read item 11A.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry. I apologize.
I
for
believe
that.
you require a motion to go ahead and move that up since it's lower in the agenda.
I don't know if I need a motion. I think I can just move that up. So we'll move item 11A up. And if you could read item 11A, please.
A resolution of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, adopting a set of advisory board rules of procedure to govern meetings and operations of the town's advisory boards, committees, task forces, and similar advisory bodies, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you very much. And need a motion to approve for the actual, we'll open this. This item was for Vice Mayor Callahan. So you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much,
Hold on,
Mr.
I need to put my
Okay.
speaker down so we don't get this. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution is the part of the board advisory rules and procedures that we had been working on, formerly known probably as the committee bylaws. I want to thank Mitch and Roger for working with me on this. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. We've been able to formulate this into two parts. What this resolution is actually outlining the board rule of procedures that can be amended easily if we need to make additional changes. So this will govern how each of the committees will conduct themselves. It spells out the duties and attendance and commitments and that type of stuff that was originally in the bylaws that we were all familiar with. This just kind of brings it all together in a single document that the council can amend at any time with additional information.
Thank you very much. Let me turn my
Mayor, if I-
speaker back on, folks. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right.
Mayor, if I could add something? Mayor?
So I'm looking, is there any questions or discussions on this item? Yes, Ralph, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for.
You're on mute, sir.
Oh. Okay. Hear me now? There. Just
You're
for.
still on mute.
I can hear him.
We can hear him.
Okay, Mayor. Everybody hear me?
Can't hear you, my friend.
We can hear him.
Or was it just me?
It's just you.
There you go. It was me. Everybody out here. Sorry, all three of us here had our speakers off.
I was clicking on my settings, Mayor. Sorry. Just and I know that and I want to take this opportunity, thank you to the Vice Mayor, because he did mention, Mitch and Roger. For the record, it's Roger Poe from our town attorney's office. So we've had several meetings between the last council meeting to now with the Vice Mayor, Mitch and Bierman and Roger Poe as well. So thank you. It's something that we spent a lot of hours on this. So thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, I'm looking for a motion to move this item forward.
Motion to approve item 11A as presented.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Callahan, and we have a second from Councilman Coriat. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, that takes us to ordinances. There is no public hearing required for the first reading of this item. So could you please read the item, Mr. Clerk?
An ordinance of the mayor and the town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, amending Article 6, boards, committees, commissions of Chapter 2 of the Town Code of Ordinances relating to advisory boards, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
All right, thank you very much. And I think we just let Vice Mayor Callahan speak on this very similar, same item. So I don't know if we need we can open up for discussion again. And I'm imagining we do have Councilman Duncan, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just have a clarification on some of the actual wording and language just to bring up, which I'm sure won't be an issue. Section 269, number 3, there's just 2 instances in which it specifically says a town council member shall make his appointment within 90 days, and then it says his again. I think we should just change that to their to match the wording throughout the rest of the ordinance. And that's it. Everything else looks good for me.
All right, any objections to that? Didn't think so. Okay, we'll make that minor adjustment. Anything else, sir?
I'm sorry, did he say change it to their or his or her?
There, the word there is found throughout the rest of the
There,
language.
Okay. That seems to be the current usage.
Okay. All right, we'll make that adjustment. Anything further on that? Looking for a motion for approval.
Motion to approve item 8A as amended and presented.
All right, we have our Vice Mayor who's made a motion to approval. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
And we have a second from Councilman Lord. Take the roll call, please.
Councilmember Coriat,
Aye.
Councilmember Lord,
Aye.
Councilmember Duncan,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Callahan,
Aye.
Mayor Mirabon.
Aye, we're all pirates today. Motion passes. All right. That is all we have on our agenda. And again, I thank the council for their indulgence on the consent agenda. And if anyone ever wants to speak on a consent agenda item, right after we're finished with it, you will have the opportunity to speak on any item if you request, or you can wait till the end of the council meeting and request. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned.